Say what you will about the Kelvin timeline, but Star Trek Beyond has been universally praised by both old and new Trek fans. And while you can pick apart the film for a few plot holes, bizarre character actions, and predictable ending, it nevertheless was packed to the brim with what Star Trek should be. A fun and exciting adventure with a brave, intrepid crew. I personally love the film. Still do. But something that always bugged me about it was actually one of the new pieces of Federation technology never seen before. A Yorktown-class space station. Boasting impressive visuals, a huge population, massive cityscapes, and housing the galaxy's biggest starship pit stop ever, the Yorktown wowed audience members and certainly earned its place in Trek history. But today, we are going to be asking the simple questions. Is such a station even possible to build? How long would it have taken? And why build this giant snowball waiting to crack in the first place? Let's look at the first point. Is such a station even possible to build? In short, the answer is yes. Well, technically yes. With the use of in-universe replicator and transporter technology, the necessary materials could have been scrounged up to build this massive space station. But just getting the materials in place would have taken decades. According to the Beyond concept artist Sean Hargreaves, the station itself is roughly 35 to 40 miles in diameter. For the purposes of this video, we will be using the smallest estimate possible, which is 35 miles. In order for the station to exist in the middle of nowhere, of which it does, everything would have had to be created from scratch. From the giant oxygen scrubbers down to an individual's nightstand. Everything would need to use raw materials so that objects, buildings, and even food could be replicated for use and consumption. So while the answer is technically yes, it's unlikely that the Federation would have committed the resources required into making the station the luxury that it is. Now let's take a look at the second point. How long would it have taken to actually build? Like I mentioned earlier, the station is 35 miles in diameter. By today's construction standards, this station wouldn't have been done for hundreds of thousands of years. But this is Star Trek, and shit builds pretty quick here, right? Well, not really. To put this point into perspective, let's look at Trek's most iconic station, Deep Space Nine. Originally commissioned by the Cardassian Union, the station was built by a Bajoran slave labor force between the years 2346 and 2351. That's a total of 5 years to get DS9 up and running. So how does that compare to the Yorktown? Well, DS9 is widely regarded as being 1 mile in diameter. Keep in mind that the Yorktown is actually 35 times that size. Using a little math, it would take roughly 179 years to build the station seen in Star Trek Beyond. Even assuming that the Federation hired more workers with better skills to construct the station, you wouldn't have been able to shave off enough years for the station to exist as it does in the film. The NX-01 was launched in the year 2153, with Star Trek Beyond taking place in the year 2263. With only 109 years in between the two dates, that would mean the station needed to start construction almost immediately following Jonathan Archer's maiden voyage. There simply isn't enough time for the station to exist in the year 2263. Now let's look at the last point. Why build the station to begin with? According to co-writer and star of Beyond, Simon Pegg, the station was built as sort of a giant advertisement for the Federation, where new member planets could come and learn about each other, and where other potential Federation prospect planets could come and learn more about what it means to be a member of that sweet-ass coalition. It's essentially a giant propaganda tool that advertised memberships to the Federation. A giant Costco customer service counter, if you will. So given its limited mission and the massive undertaking it would have been to construct this station, I'm rating this idea as being highly unlikely to exist in Star Trek at the time that Beyond took place. I'm not saying that this idea couldn't take place at some point, but given what we know about how long it takes to build things in Star Trek, the fact that the station is in a remote location, and the fact that between the year that the NX-01 was launched and that Star Trek Beyond took place, there just simply isn't enough time for it to exist in the film. But nevertheless, I still enjoyed seeing it on the big screen, and watching the Enterprise fly through impossibly small tubes within the station never ever gets old. That concludes today's discussion video. Please tell me what you guys think about this in the description. Do you think that the Yorktown would never have been built? Do you think that maybe there's some other magical construction capability that the Federation's holding on to, that they were able to build this thing lickety-split and not have to worry about anything? Or do you also feel like this kind of is a bizarre thing to have in the film because it doesn't seem like it could actually exist during this time period? I'm curious to hear what everybody thinks about it. Thank you guys for watching. Please follow me on Twitter at RealKetwolski and on Facebook at facebook.com/RealKetwolski. And please throw a like and a subscribe up on YouTube. Live long and prosper, my Trekkies!